And what I wanted was like that 2x4 to come across.
Yeah,
and just
be like,
boom, this is
the obvious answer.
Right.
Yeah.
So I ended up going on this date. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful time. But as soon as I got back in the car, I'm like, I don't think this is what the Lord's calling me to do. So I went to adoration, like immediately, beeline into adoration. And I was just a mess for like the next like it was only like 2 days. It wasn't anything crazy, but I was just like, all right, yeah, I think this is, I gotta stop thinking about this. Like, this is what the Lord's calling me to do. The Lord's working. The Lord's working a lot.
Welcome to the Exposing Catholics show, where we expose the lives, interactions, and stories of Catholics. Our guest today is Daniel. What's going on, dude?
Nothing much. How are you guys? Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah,
Heck
of course.
yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Of course. Yeah, I'm excited.
So you are a new seminarian.
Mm-hmm.
When did you enter?
So I entered this past fall.
Okay.
This past semester in August of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And we were talking before this even started. I was like, so are you living there, or like you living off campus type of thing? And
Yeah.
it's required to live there. So
Yep.
what does that life look like?
It's kind of like a college in a sense. There's dorm rooms. So they actually got just redone, and it's super nice. So
We went in one the other day, and the bathroom was really nice. Not to be weird, but I was like, wow, they got a nice bathroom.
We
in
have
there.
it nice, and all the priests that come in that have been through it, they're like, okay, guys, like, you have it really nice here, and we do. We understand that and really appreciate it. But yeah, so like everyone's got their own room on the Borromeo side, and I'm sure we'll get into it. But there's the college, the minor college, and then the kind of the graduate school, which is St. Mary's. But on my side, the Borromeo side, so we all get our own room. We share a bathroom with one other brother, which is totally fine. Like, it's super nice. But we got our dorms, and we got our halls and a lounge, and it's nice. It's very nice. I love it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. So we must have visited the St. Mary side.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
that was a private bathroom, I think.
Probably. Yeah, if you're on the St. Mary's side.
I think as you go up, it might be like, okay, you get your own room and stuff like
Either
that.
way, it was really nice.
Yeah,
I was
right.
like, wow.
It's just like it's very nice on our side too. Don't get me wrong. I love it. We're very, very blessed.
Yeah,
to
they dropped
what we
like
have.
$20 million they said on it.
Yeah, something like, I know it's in the millions. I don't know what the number was. I don't want to throw a number out there because I don't know exactly, but there's a lot. And there's still even more construction going on. The chapel, the main chapel.
Yeah, we went in there too, and
Good.
it's so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
It's going to be incredible. Like, I can't wait.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So how do you like it so far, your first semester?
It's been so good. It's been so good. Like, when people ask me that question, it's a loaded question, but there's just been so much grace and so much peace since I made the decision. But since then, the Lord's just provided just so much grace. It's only been a couple months. Like, it hasn't been long at all.
Yeah.
Right.
But I feel right at home. I love the brothers there. I love the faculty there. Just everything about it. I love it. It's incredible. Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, thank you.
So what'd the process look like to get to here?
Yeah, for sure.
What'd faith life look like growing
Yeah.
up?
Sure. Yeah, that's another loaded question.
What led you
Yeah, thank
to
you.
this
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll kind of start more in the beginning, I guess. I grew up in a very Catholic household. I went to Mass every Sunday. I have 7 other siblings, so it's a bigger family.
Where are you in that lineup?
Yeah, so I'm number 5. I'm right in the middle, which I am so grateful for. So I have a great relationship with all my siblings, and my youngest brother, I'm like, he's one of my best friends. And then my oldest brother, another one of my best friends. Like, I have great relationships with all of them. And everyone lives still very close in the Cleveland area. So it's incredible to have everyone there. My parents are just absolutely saints. Like, it might be not something I recognized when I was younger, but as I grew older, I realized how much their faith meant to them and how serious they took it.
Yeah.
And that was huge for me, and even to this day is still really big for me. So just going to Mass, we would pray together. If we were doing like a long road trip, it'd be like a rosary together to start the trip, which was super cool. So, and then I was in Catholic schools my whole life. I went to St. Gabriel, which is my home parish in Concord, for grade school, and then NDCL, for high school, and then Walsh University in Canton for 2 years. So certainly ups and downs throughout all of that, for sure. Definitely in high school and college, which I feel like that's for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely.
But was involved like at NDCL with like campus ministry retreats. We were so blessed to have like daily mass there and adoration during our study halls, which is like, looking back on it, I wish I took a little more advantage of that. But it was incredible. I had just such beautiful people around me as I grew up. But definitely, again, ups and downs of really being in it, being on that like retreat high, and then just, I mean, I'd still be going to mass, but it's just like, all right, I'm going through the motions here, and there's not a whole lot of fruit from it. But yeah.
We've got something special for all our Catholic organizations. Now, before you skip past this part, it's not an ad. It's more like an incredible opportunity to take your digital presence to the next level. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. Something only for our podcast listeners. We, DM Productions, have a 2-day Catholic social media makeover course. It's an online course specifically made for Catholic organizations. It will take your social media to the next level. And we make it easier than ever with our step-by-step video walkthroughs, cheat sheets, customizable templates, and more. Catholic organizations, let's start creating the quality and results that secular businesses have, but with the depth and beauty of Catholicism. Oh, and did I mention the price? $700. But remember I said I was going to let you in on a little secret? Use code DMPodcast to get it completely free. No credit card required. Just pop that code in and you're all set. Head over to www.dm.productions/social media makeover or click the link in the description. Now back to the show.
You met at NDCL, right? You went to school together, or I don't know how exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so you graduated in what year? 18?
18.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so a year before me.
Yep. Yeah, we knew of each other.
Yeah, I don't really
I
know.
don't remember you, but
it was
like,
a small enough school where everyone knew each other.
Yeah.
Everyone, for the most part, was pretty friendly to each other. It was a great culture there. Yeah, I think that's really the extent of it. We might have had a class or two together. My memory's terrible with that stuff. But
I don't know. I think the only class would have been math, maybe.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
Yeah.
memorable
Did you play
subject.
with my brother baseball?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was never on his team. I don't think. Yeah. He was varsity. I was just hanging out with the freshman and junior varsity guys.
Okay.
But yeah. Oh, and he was someone I looked up to like big time. He was I just love like the discipline. He would come in. He would take it seriously. And I understand guys who were there to have fun for sure, but I was more of a guy that's like, hey, I want to get better. I want to win. And he was like that in the weight room or on the field. So it's like, I looked up to him big time. Yeah. Yeah. We had a nice little relationship. It was great.
Heck
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I don't think we ever really like talked or interacted that much. I think it was just like a you're cool, I'm cool type of like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So man, yeah, that type of stuff. What most guys do, I feel like. Where it's like, hey, how are you? Good.
But so going from you're quite involved with throughout your whole life, and especially in Catholic education and just like attending daily mass. I actually never did go to any of those. I'm kind of curious on how they even jammed it all in to like it's only 20 minutes. So is he like, okay, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, here you go.
Yeah, we probably ripped right through it with a quick homily and called it a day. As long as you got that, the word and then the Eucharist, it's like, all right. Yeah, you can get it done pretty fast.
So going from NDCL then, what did that look like to getting to Borromeo?
Yeah, so from NDCL, again, I went to Walsh. I went there for school, but I was able to get on the baseball team, which was really cool. But again, I was going there for school. And baseball was an addition, which I was super grateful for. And it was weird. At Walsh, it was kind of, in a sense, like living two lives, which looking back on it, like, I've just worked through a lot of that, especially since being in the seminary. But I had such great friends, and still do, that are practicing Catholics that are super devout. And I've learned so much from them and look up to them in so many ways. But then on the flip side, I was a part of this team and this culture that was not that. Not that. They were there to play baseball. School was another thing. Faith wasn't even on the table. It's, baseball during the week. You have a game during the weekend, and then party on the weekend. So I was kind of getting pulled in both directions, where it's like I have a desire to get to know these guys. I spend a ton of time with these guys, so I spent a lot of time with that crowd. And then on the flip side, on Sundays or even on like Fridays, I had a group of guys that we would go and pray the Stations of the Cross. So it's like these two complete opposite lives that I was living. And looking back on it, like it's such a gift. Like it's definitely taken me some time to like really work through it all. But it wasn't till COVID hit. So we get sent back home. It was like in March or something, I think.
Yeah.
I'll get sent back home.
It's all a blur now.
Yeah, no, it's just like, well, whatever. So we get sent back home. I really struggled online, like with the online learning stuff. I was like, hey, can't do this. But there was a lot of reasons. But I ended up leaving that summer.
Leaving college?
Yep, leaving college, and I started working for my dad's business, which I had already worked for a couple summers, like doing internships for. So I kind of knew this is definitely something I'm interested in. Would love to work for my dad, and my brother, my oldest brother, was working there.
What kind of business is it?
Yeah, so it's in the kind of trucking and insurance space.
Not
so
faith-based, but like...
No,
okay.
It's not. But what drew me there and what I loved so much about it is that company. It's Primacy Risk Services. I think you've been to the office. You've met some of the guys there.
That's how I even knew you were going into the seminary.
I think so, right?
I was like, dude, what the heck are you doing?
And I think it was like right after I made the decision, because I'm like, yeah, I'm out of here in like a week or something. Oh my God.
Yeah, you didn't even. You're like, I haven't really told anybody, but.
Oh yeah, like, or that. Right. It was right. Yeah, it was a quick decision. So a lot of moving parts leading up to actually going in. But yeah, at Primacy. Beautiful culture of faith-filled men and women, where like there were days it's like a Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Hey, do you want to go to daily mass today? Instead of taking lunch, we'll go to daily mass. Like it was.
That's sick.
It was awesome. So yeah, worked there for about 3 years, and I think coming home from Walsh and be able to live with my family for about a year, and just it was a hard reset for me. To kind of just focus on myself, on my faith, on my family and friends. It was so good. I know we look at COVID, we look down on COVID, but for me it was like a tremendous blessing, because without that I would have been there for all 4 years. Who knows if I would be here right now. So I look at that as a tremendous blessing, but was able to really dive back into my faith and just take it more seriously, which then kind of opened the door for the Lord to start to actually talk to me. I got all those distractions out. And was able to hear his voice a little bit more. Yeah. So.
When did you feel like the call on your heart to like maybe seminary is the thing for me?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think there's kind of two sides of it. There's the one side of how I felt before I made the decision, and then after I made the decision. I'll kind of explain. So before I made the decision, again, it was like when I started taking my faith more seriously, there's this program called Exodus 90. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
I've never taken it. I don't think you have either, but I've heard of it.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And so I did it. So it leads up into Lent and ends on Easter. It's a 90-day kind of like retreat in a sense. And a lot of it is getting rid of a bunch of distractions. Not saying these things are bad, but just to get rid of these things, just focus solely on your faith in the Lord. So I did that 2 years in a row with a group of guys. So it started in January, went to Easter. And the first year, again, like in prayer, getting rid of all the noise in my life, I felt that call, and I'm just like, no chance. No chance. Like I was very at peace in my life. I'm probably had just bought a house. I was living in Wycliffe. I had the job. I loved working for my dad and my brother. It was definitely something I had a desire to do for a long time. And so I did not give it the time of day. So the year goes on. I do it again the next year with the same group of guys. And that call there is there again. And I think I needed that year, though. It was just another year of just maturing in my faith especially. And to come to realize, okay, if I'm taking this seriously and I feel this call, I should probably listen to it and start praying about it. So that's what I did. I took about 3 or 4 months of just really just bringing that to prayer. That's all I could think about. It's like, all right, Lord, what do you want me to do here? It's kind of a big decision.
Yeah.
And after the couple months, I went on like a one visit, like an overnight. It didn't do much for me. Like, it was good. I knew some of the guys there already, but again, didn't do a whole lot for me. And what I wanted was like that 2x4 to come across.
Yeah,
and
be like,
boom, this is what
is
you gotta
the
do.
obvious answer.
Right. Yeah. But it wasn't there. So I basically made the decision, I'm not going. I told my brother, hey, I'm all in with this company. I want to work with you and for you for however long. And a couple weeks later, I saw this girl that I knew from college, and we decided to go on a date a couple weeks later. And as soon as I set that date, and there was like a rush of this feeling like, I don't think I should be doing this. And it's like, dang it, what the heck, Lord? Like, I gave you a handful of months. I've been praying on it. And there's this girl that's like just a beautiful soul. And it's like, what the heck? So I ended up going on this date. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful time. But as soon as I got back in the car, I'm like, I don't think this is what the Lord's calling me to do. So I went to adoration, like, immediately. I beeline into adoration. And I was just a mess for like the next like it was only like 2 days. It wasn't anything crazy, but I was just like, all right, yeah, I think this is, I gotta stop thinking about this. Like, this is what the Lord's calling me to do.
Just do it already.
Right. And so it was like, so the date was on a Saturday, and the following Tuesday I was signing papers to apply for the seminary. I didn't want to think about it anymore, because I knew I'd think my way out of it, of all the reasons why I shouldn't be doing this. So yeah, that's kind of how it led up to it. And there was a lot of other things that kind of got me there, but it was just that continual gentle call. One thing I did want to mention, because you kind of, I'm already forgetting what the actual question was, but looking back on it now after I'd made the decision, it was almost like this lens, or this veil was lifted from me, from my eyes. I think the Lord has been calling me for a very long time, like since a young kid. I've always been attracted to it. I've always had great priests in my life to look up to. People, and I think for most young men, if they're like practicing and they go to mass on Sundays, everyone's like, you should be a priest, which is so not fair, because it's just like, all right, I'm just living my faith, like, what the heck. But I got that as a kid, and it's definitely it wasn't something I deflected that much. It's like, yeah, cool, thank you. But yeah, definitely something in my heart. It's just like, it was definitely attractive. So looking back on it, and there were certainly other points in my life where it's like, oh wow, I was just either completely ignoring it or was completely just ignorant of the call. And wasn't putting myself in a place to hear that call. Yeah,
you were like, I'm just gonna block that out.
Yeah, we're gonna ignore that.
I'm not interested right now.
Right.
Well, I also think when you start to finally accept whatever it is, whether it's a vocation or
just a big decision,
some sort of situation or decision, then you look back and you're like,
that was obvious.
Wow, there's quite a few like breadcrumbs and like half of a cookie right there. Like, gosh darn.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went on the date. Honestly, when priests say that they dated people, it's like, what the heck? Like, that is wrong.
Yeah, what the heck, right? Yeah, right.
Because some people have said, they're like, I've been on, way back in college when I was on a date or something. It's like, that's messed up. Right. But, so yeah, you go on the date, and then you head right to adoration, which I think is just really cool. Because I don't think that's most people's first reaction is to beeline it to adoration.
Yeah.
So
especially at our age too,
Sure.
of like just young and like faith isn't usually number one priority or like a top priority in our life.
Yeah.
But that's just really beautiful that was your like immediate reaction to it.
Thank you. Yeah. Praise God. I mean, it's, I think over that, like, again, that like kind of year where I didn't initially just said like absolutely no to the call. I spent so much time in adoration, and I was lucky enough to live, and it was an 8-minute walk from Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and they had an adoration chapel. I can go there whenever I wanted. And that was my place. I loved going there. I spent a lot of hours in there, and it just gave me so much peace. There were days where it's like I would go in there with intention, and really just like pray about things, but there was other times it's like I just had a crazy day. I need to go to Jesus. Like he's the one that's fueling me. And so like thank you for that, but it's just like it certainly wasn't me. It was just like when you get into a habit, just like going to daily mass, it's like you realize it's like, oh wow, like I'm living off this. Like I need him. Like you realize your dependency on him. And I think that's what it was. It was just like, where else would I go? Like I'm not gonna go back to my house where I'm gonna be just sitting by myself and just I'm gonna be crazy. I'm gonna go crazy just with all the thoughts running around in my head. So yeah.
This is a little off topic, but I mean, like, from my experience of, like, when we get out of our prayer routine and, like, aren't making faith a priority, it just seems like our life is so much crazier and, like, just out of whack. And then when we, like, put it back in place, it's like, things are just so much clearer now. Like, that was a simple solution.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know
that's spot
about
on.
you,
That's
but
it. Yeah. No, that's it. That's spot on. Yeah. I've noticed many times where it's like I've had a rough week and I have to like kick myself. I'm like, Daniel, you haven't been praying. like obviously you're going to have a rough week. It's like your heart is restless until it rests in thee. So it's for me, it's very like I'm a more logical person. It's like I want to think through it. And that's how I do it. It's like, okay, this makes me feel much better. Like I know this is good for me. I need to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I need to be consistent in it. Yeah.
What did your parents think, or like just everybody around you think when you were like, okay, I know I've been working for the family business, but like things have changed now. Like, what did they say?
Yeah. It was so that when I told them, so about 50% of my family knew I was discerning this decision, and the others I'm pretty sure didn't. I need to talk to them about that because some of the reactions I got were incredible. Like it's something I pray I will never forget. It was I was pretty much able to do it all in one day. It was almost like all separately, which was really cool. But it was one of the coolest days of my life. Like the amount of support I got from them. I knew they would support me. Like I know they love me. They're so devout people. But to be able to see and feel that love and support was like a whole nother thing. They were so excited for me. Some I thought even more excited than I was. I'm like, all right. No, it was so good. It was such a beautiful night. I was able to kind of just like bounce around. I was at like an event for my nephew. It was at like a t-ball game, and it was my brother-in-law, my sister, and my other brother who was at that game. I'm like, well, might as well tell them. I'm gonna go drive to my parents' house after this game and let them know. So I kind of got most of them done all in one night, and just it was so cool. And I think it was the Lord just giving me even more peace of like this is the right thing that you should be doing. Yeah. Because if it wasn't like that, who knows where my mind would have went? Like, oh, should I be doing this? Like, I don't know. But that support just like reaffirmed like this is what the Lord's calling me to do.
That's really, really good to hear. I mean, we haven't had any like negative stories, but the one sister, Michelle, maybe she said like there's some sisters that their families just like disown them after they tell them like they're going into just discerning this. But it is really good to hear that they were very, very supportive. And
thank you.
I was just kind of shocked when it was Sister Michelle, and she's like, her brother was like, love you, like support it, and then there's just some that was like, not really, like you're kind of crazy. So I'm glad that you have like that. The tight group, but it's also your family. So it's not just like you surrounded yourself with good people. It's like the good people are also your family.
Right. The people that mean the most in my life. Yeah, spot on. Yeah, it's incredible. I have to remind myself a lot of how lucky I am with the family I have. Because you're right. At the seminary, there's the families that these guys have. Some of them aren't supportive, or aren't Catholic, or whatever it may be. So I'm just incredibly grateful for the family I have. It's like, it's hard to put into words, honestly. But, yeah.
So what has life at the seminary looked like?
Yeah. Pretty busy, but it's good. It's really good. A lot of prayer, a lot of just fellowship and like fraternity with the guys, to get to know the guys. and then there's obviously the education too. Like that's a big part of it. But yeah, it's like a mixture of all these beautiful things, where like there's days where you'll have a crazy day where you're not able to take a step back, but for like the Lord just provides and just like fuels you, where it's like, man, I don't know if I'd be able to, I know for a fact I would not be able to do this without him.
Oh yeah.
Because you're getting up early and you're going the morning.
How early? Is it like a...
break down the routine.
Sure.
3 a.m.
Most days, to be honest, and I'm so grateful for this, most days are, almost every day of the week is something's different, which I'm really grateful for. So like my house job is a sacristan, so I set up for mass or like evening prayer. So on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we have morning prayer and mass at 7. So as a sacristan, you have to get up a little earlier to set up, but I'm a morning person, so I don't mind it. Yeah, and I also, there's something just like beautiful about setting everything up for the mass. It's incredible. Like I love it. It's like a form of prayer, honestly.
Yeah.
So I usually get up earlier on those days, which is fine. I love it. But yeah, morning prayer and mass with the guys on most days. And then pretty much right after that, we go into breakfast. And then from pretty much 8:30 to 5:45 is kind of your time. So it's like you have classes. Some days you have more, it's a normal college setup,
right,
of like Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, Tuesday, Thursday classes. So everyone has, for the most part, similar schedules. If you're in the same, like the freshman class that I came in with, we'll mostly have the same classes together. So classes will fit in, there's spiritual direction. So we do that once every 2 weeks. So that's just me and my spiritual director, which has been so fruitful. And then evening prayer at 5:45, dinner right after that. And then for the most part, the night is yours. But there's usually exceptions. There's usually stuff going on. But it's all good. Formation stuff. We'll have events or, all sorts of different things. We have basketball nights on Wednesday, which I'm usually running over for. I love that night. It's always a fun one.
And shout out to the dub with Seminarians versus priests.
Thank you. Were you guys there?
No.
You able to make it? Okay.
No, we didn't go.
I was lector and she was Eucharist.
Oh, awesome.
Minister.
Yeah.
Great.
At 5 p.m. So
yeah.
To be out here.
No, that's good. That's the better supply. Mass is a great excuse. And it was a fun event. It was a little rough for the priest. It was a rough game.
I told her I think if they would have let the bishop play, I think the priest would have won. But
right.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, we wouldn't have been able to really guard him. Like, I don't know what I would do in that situation. He was there though. It was great to see him there. He had one of the priest jerseys on. It was great. It was a fun event. Yeah.
Did you have a spiritual director before you went in seminary, or is that like as soon as you go in seminary they're like, you need one of these?
Yeah, so it's definitely something I desired before I entered. It's something that not everyone needs, but it's something that you should definitely pray about. No, so I didn't have one before I went in. But yeah, when you go in, everyone gets a spiritual director, and it's been so good. Just to basically just spill your heart every 2 weeks. Be like, all right, Father, this is what's going on in my heart. This is what's going on in my prayer, good and bad. Just working through a bunch of things.
Yeah.
So it's been so good. That's where a lot of growth happens, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking. Who were we talking with?
Father Mike.
Yeah, Father Mike McCandless. Father Cass. about spiritual direction, and so like that's what that whole episode was about, really. And so I was just curious.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
I don't think people realize how important and powerful it is. And I'd like to relate it to a coach. You're like, I don't need a coach. It's like, well, they can see things that you can't see. Just in any sort of situation, business coach, baseball coach, any sport coach, like an athletic trainer, they can see the things that you're not really picking up on and then elaborate for you. Right. But then in the spiritual sense, then Father Mike was like, it's a coach that cares about your soul. So it's like a big time thing.
Yeah.
No pressure.
So
yeah, spot on. spot on. Yeah, it's been incredible. And it's good for what you just said. It's good for so many reasons. And looking back on it, it's like I know why there wasn't a whole lot of growth when I was just trying to do it myself. And I'm just like, I think this is what I need. I think this is what I should do with my spiritual life. I think I should do this.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, no, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. And we can also just be very, very close to it, very close to our spiritual life and our lives, right? And so we can just get caught up in the everyday. So to have someone who isn't in the day-to-day with you, but you spill that to them, and then they can, like, exactly, just spot on, be able to coach you in a way. This is what you should do.
Yeah. I didn't even know that spiritual direction was a thing. I just kept coming to a priest and asking him questions, and then he's like, you do know, like, we do this thing spiritual direction if you want to make it official. So then it turned into spiritual
That's
direction.
so organic. That's beautiful, dude. That's awesome.
But I just was like, hey, could I schedule a meeting with you? And then I just had so many questions. We go on for an hour, maybe two.
Yes.
He's like, I was like, okay, can we get another one on the books? Like maybe in a couple of weeks, a month or something. And it happened for a while. And then he's like, we could do legit spiritual direction if you want.
That's beautiful.
So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
You said you have that job as the sacristan. What are do other people have different jobs? How's that work?
So I got lucky. I think I love sacristan. Like, I absolutely love it. But there's all sorts of things. There's
janitor. Is that one of it?
Kind of.
Okay.
Kind of. So like we have different spaces. So we have a lounge on our side on the Borromeo side. So there's guys that kind of just like upkeep that, or if we have like some event, they make sure everything's set for that. Same with there's in the basement. It's called the Cask and Cross, which is just a very cool hangout spot.
I think we were in there. Is it orange or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couches,
Yeah.
projector.
Right by the workout room.
Yes.
Where you go through the workout room.
Yeah. There's a workout room. You go through like this weird kind of, I guess it used to be a bowling alley.
Yeah.
That's where you set up the baseball.
Yes, I just wait. So did you see it set
Yeah.
up? Okay, so I just set that up before break. I've been down there once. I was like, I knew it was down there, and it hadn't been set up. I'm like, I gotta get down there. I gotta get down there and set this up. So during finals week, I was like, all right, I'm going down there. Swung the bat for maybe 20 minutes with some guys that I need to get back down there. Yeah, but it's a cool spot. So there's you saw it, ping pong tables, and in that other room we'll watch movies and stuff and just have cool events that we'll have a whole bunch of people down there for. There's guys that take care of that or take care of the weight room. There's someone that like coordinates like the vans. So we go to JCU on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. John Carroll University. So there's a guy that like coordinates these vans, making sure everyone's got a van to get to school. And then I'm sure there's others, but so we all get assigned something for the year. And I happen to get, I think, the best one. Praise God.
Yeah, sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you get to like have any input in on that, or they're just like, this guy seems good here?
I'm not sure. As a first year guy, you kind of just get
the
you kind of
leftover.
get assigned.
Okay.
Probably as seniors, I'm assuming they have a little more leeway. They get a little more of a decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, as a first year guy, no idea. I'm blessed with what I got. Yeah.
Are you guys always doing stuff together, or is there a lot of also like solo time?
Yeah. So for Borromeo, it's a little more. With St. Mary's, it's not as much. So Borromeo, you got to think like a lot of these guys are coming out of high school as well. So we do have a lot more of like structure. We do a lot of ththings together, the prayer together, mass together. St. Mary's does the same thing, but maybe not as structured. Friday nights we'll have things together. We'll have stuff first half of the day on Saturdays. And we're taking the same classes together and everything. So we do a lot together. There's certainly times where, for all of us, like we need to get away or just like close our door maybe to our rooms just to have some time by ourselves or, go into the chapel, get our prayer and our personal prayer. And there's times where I'm just like, I just need to get out for a little bit. I'll go to a park, go for a walk, go for a run, something like that. Thankfully my family is only like 20 minutes away, so on the weekends I try to go there. But it's a good healthy mix. Yeah, definitely been an adjustment from like living by myself in a house to now living in a dorm room with a bunch of guys. It's been a smooth transition, but certainly there's times where it's like, okay, I think I need some alone time. But it's all good. It's always there, and guys respect it. Guys definitely respect it. It's like, yeah, leave them be. So yeah.
How many like freshmen are in your class with you?
Yeah, so there's about 7 or 8 of us that came into Borromeo. 6 or 7 or 8. I feel like I should have that number down. And then another 5 that went into St. Mary's this past year.
Okay.
Yeah, and all but me and one other guy came out of high school. So obviously I'm much older than these guys, which has been very cool. It's been cool. And then the other guy as well did 2 years of college, worked for a couple months, and then entered. So we got to finish up our undergrad, get the degree, and then God willing we'll enter St. Mary's for theology. So.
Jeez. How many years like is it? So they have basically like the 4-year regular college at Borromeo, and then like a 4-year graduate program.
Yeah, so
around there.
Yeah, and there's actually, and I think Father Jacob talked about it briefly when he was talking to you guys, but
he was in it for 12 years. He was like, "That's not the typical time."
That is not typical. Praise God. No, so there is some change going on. So right now it'd be 4 years for Borromeo and 5 for St. Mary's.
Okay.
So 9 total. It's gonna be flipped now, so it'll be 5 for Borromeo and 4 for St. Mary's. Which I think what they're doing is going to be incredible. They're doing this new year called the Probadubic year.
The what year?
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I'm just going to say it confidently and be like, yeah, that's definitely the name of it. And just not say it again. But
I hope you got back.
No, I think it's called the Probadubic year, from my understanding. But it's basically what it'll be is it's a full year. It's pretty much all 12 months. It's not even just a school year. But it'll be a year for guys. They won't be living at the seminary. They'll have a house. And I'm pretty sure they have it pretty much all set up. And it'll start this next year. But it'll be more of like, I like to explain it as like a year-long retreat in a sense. It's just a very spiritually focused year. Of just like contemplative leisure too, of just like a very slow way of living, like no technology, just like being in community, praying together, living together, like making meals together, washing dishes together, like doing everything together, going on hikes. There's all sorts of cool things throughout the year. They were telling us. I won't be doing it. I'm kind of grandfathered in, so I will have 5 years at St. Mary's to my knowledge, if I get to that point. But so yeah, that'll be an incredible year. So that's what will make Borromeo 5 years. And that's for people that are coming in with no college credits. So if you're coming straight out of high school with no college credits, it would be it's going to end up being 2 years of kind of like GE, and then the Probadubic year, and then another 2 years of just heavy philosophy, which is basically what I'm doing now, the 2 years of the philosophy.
Okay, so like you're saying you don't need any college credits. Like, do they have general like math, English, whatever not elective, but like general classes you have to take there, or is it all just priest classes? I don't know.
No. So that's where we go to John Carroll for.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so we'll get all like the GEs done there.
Okay.
So since I had most of those done from Walsh, I only have a couple of classes at John Carroll.
Got it. Okay.
I'm almost done there. After this semester, I think I'll just have one class left there, which would be great.
Get those out of the way.
Yeah, it has been nice. Like going into it, I'm like, I don't know if I want to go back onto a college campus, like that type of college campus. And it's no knock on John Carroll. It's just the culture at any college. And it's actually been a blessing to be able to 3 days a week to kind of just get away, meet new people, different people. So it's been good. It's been healthy.
Yeah.
So I haven't I don't mind it. But yeah, it's been good. And then technically the philosophy classes that we take at Borromeo, that's technically John Carroll classes. So it's like a satellite campus.
Got it.
So I would be getting a John Carroll degree in philosophy,
Okay.
Lord willing. So yeah.
What do the classes look like? So are you doing any like priest stuff right now, or is that more St. Mary's?
Yeah, it's more St. Mary's. So I'm assuming like with like the priest stuff, it'd be like more like the theology. When diving into that, yeah. So most of that is St. Mary's. We will have some like theology studied classes. Like I took catechism, study of the catechism last semester, which was great. I'm taking spirituality of the saints, which has been super cool so far. It's only been a couple weeks, but that's when I like really, really enjoy, and the readings that are assigned are like so good. So we do take those, and then that'd be on top of the philosophy. So it's an emphasis on the philosophy with kind of like your theology and religious studies, the TRS classes as well. But really won't dive heavily into it until St. Mary's. Yeah.
Got it.
And do you know how the philosophy ties in? Is that more of like a being able to approach preaching with a philosophy type of view?
Yeah, so I think that the understanding of it is philosophy, like at the core is like learning is thinking. It's like learning how to think. Like seems very simple and straightforward, but fortunately that's kind of a lost art these days. No, so it's the study of philosophy. So it's a study of, and just having a really good foundation of all these ideas. Who am I? Who are we? Who is God? Does God exist? Like these big hitting questions that we can take for granted, and just coming to understand all different. We've been studying all different philosophers, in their not necessarily Catholic views or even Christian views, but to come to understand that. So then we can look at these big polarizing topics these days, these heavy topics, where we can understand the theology, but to be able to get to really the root of it, of like why, to keep asking, to keep digging. So that's kind of my understanding of why we do the philosophy, is to get that really good foundation. Because without that, I mean, you can have the theology for sure still, like we all believe in that, but to continue to keep asking why, to get down to the root of it, if that makes sense. I hope.
Yeah. I feel like that's what the Catholic Church does best.
Right. Truth.
Right to the core.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things about it is I ask a ton of questions.
That's so good.
But
you do.
the church has never been stumped.
Yeah.
As long as you do enough research, I could see people going away, like turning away from the Catholic Church because they like do a headline read and then maybe like a couple sentences and they're like, okay, I don't like that teaching.
Yeah.
Like, I'm leaving. But if you dig deep into like you're saying, to the core, to the root of this thing, the teachings all make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
The ones that I've been able to do that too.
Sure.
So I just think that's what's so attractive to the faith from my point of view, is this deep understanding that people have asked these questions before and they're smarter than me. They know the answers and have gotten they've gotten a response or an answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And an answer that makes sense, not just something that they pulled out of their butt crack.
Right. There's logic and truth behind it.
Yes.
Yeah. I think you see a lot of people today, like especially like converts. How did they get to the Catholic Church? It's like, well, they kept digging, kept asking questions. Yeah. And that's what gives me so much just like peace and just like, yeah, we're right where we're at. Like we're right where we need to be, that's so beautiful. Yeah. I also think this is actually something I just learned in one of my classes, but it was Augustine. It was like, there's one thing to have faith, like for me, like for someone that I think at times it can be a little harder. If I grew up in the faith, it's just like there's just these things they may not fully understand, but I believe in it. It's like, the church teaches that. For sure. That makes sense to me. Like, cool. But it's another thing to then start digging. And to come to really understand it. And there's like an even stronger faith that comes with that. Which I think is so beautiful.
Yeah, that's what we've noticed too. Of like, just growing up in the faith and being like, okay, this is what this prayer is. You memorize it, and we all say it at the same time, but you're like, you don't know what it means.
Yep.
And then when you dig into it, you're like, wow, that's really beautiful. And just, you can do that with literally every single thing in the Catholic Church too, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who said it. It might have been Father Mike, but he's saying, actually, I'm not going to even put his name on it. I don't know who said it. But somebody was saying that there's been a ton of converts that read their way into the Catholic Church, but basically none that have been able to read their way out.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing enough reading, they've never been able to like read their way out. It's always in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because as soon as like a different denomination or even a different religion starts to really dig deep into it, it's like, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
We talked to a Methodist that's what he likes about the church.
Yeah.
He hasn't converted yet.
Okay.
But I think he will. And his fiance is Catholic, and they're going through marriage prep, and he's like, I just keep asking all these questions to this priest, and he knows.
Yeah.
But like my pastor at the Methodist church, I've asked some of these questions, and they're just like, they don't really know. And so it could also, like, there could just be bad people in bad places type of thing where they just don't know. But I think he's starting to understand. He's like, okay, like the Catholic Church has the answers that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And there's only like a little, I don't know, there's like I don't know. There's like a seed of truth in the other.
Yeah, and it's not even that, like, say the person, like his pastor at the Methodist church, like he could go and ask somebody else, but he's not. But if like the Catholic priest was like, I don't know that answer, but I know somebody that will know it, like here's the resources for that.
Right.
But he doesn't get that from the his other church, which is why he's like, even if the Catholic priest doesn't know, like he knows where to find the answer.
Sure.
So yeah, I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I was thinking about something he was talking about, like believing in demons and like that's the spiritual reality of the world, and how I think the Methodist church doesn't believe in it or something along those lines. And he's just like, why like I thought everybody kind of does. And so then he's starting to see these like loopholes, but I don't know. I'm getting it down on a tangent that I don't really know where I'm going. So we should probably get back to it. Okay. So I wanted to talk about the growth since entering into the seminary, because I feel like even from just the couple of months when I first was talking to you at your dad's business to then, like now, there seems like a more calm peace. And the way that you're approaching, whether it's the questions or just the interactions, seems like there's a difference.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the Lord's working. The Lord's working a lot. Yeah, there's been tremendous growth, which has been such a blessing. And to be honest, part of it's a little intimidating because, I know I need it. First of all, I know I need it, but it's only been a couple months. Like. It's been incredible how much he's done in my life. There's, oh my gosh, where to begin? I think he's truly just given me a peace since I've made the decision. There's been some, just leading up into even entering it's only like 3 months. I had to kind of like sell a house and all sorts of, the summer was crazy. So but like through that chaos he just gave me this peace. And ever since entering this kind of like the chaotic life of just a new environment of entering school again, which I never thought I would do. And being all around new people and just a whole new structure in a way of living, he's just given me this peace that I just can't, it's hard to describe. And just like I just want to continue just to give him everything, like in those the moments, like the crazy moments of a tough week at school where it's like papers and exams are due, or just maybe just a dry week of prayer, where I'm just like, all right, Lord, I'm not really getting anything. But just it's hard to give you an answer because like it's truly him. Like I'm just kind of here for the ride in a sense. That he's this peace and this trust he has allowed me to have in him has been has just transformed my life. There's no other way to put it. And you say thank you for saying that, because it just kind of like reaffirms just like, yeah, the Lord has done a lot just in a few short months, and just growth in prayer and just in the Mass, just to be able to really enter into the Mass in different ways, or enter into conversations in different ways, or into classes, just like really just trying to bring the Lord and the Holy Spirit into literally everything I'm doing.
Yeah.
I am far from perfect. I'm preaching to myself right now as a reminder. It's just like that's where the goodness comes from. That's where that peace, or the joy, or the love you feel. Like, it's just like, yeah, you gotta continue to. And that's what I've been trying to do, at least, to bring him into everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a long, slow process.
Yeah.
A lifelong process.
Oh, it is. Yeah. It'll never stop. It will never stop.
I also just think the seminary is peaceful. Like, Father Eric gave us a tour, and so I've never like been around. I've been like outside of it, but not really inside. It's just, I don't know, it's got a cool, and that was when it was a massive blizzard, and we probably shouldn't have even been there. But it was just coming down, and it's like this peaceful environment.
It is, yeah. And I think when you have a culture that is solely focused on Jesus Christ, like, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's hard not
when
to
everyone's
have that.
It's different than any other team or group or class I've been a part of, because we're all there for the same thing. We all have the same mindset. Just like, we just want to do what the Lord wants us to do. Like, we just want to follow the Lord's will. That's it. And when you have a group like that, the faculty, I mean, everyone from the rector, Father Andy Turner, down to ourselves, or any other faculty, the sisters that come in and help out every couple of days, a couple of days a week, the people that help just clean the place, like, everyone is just so good. So good, and you just kind of feed off of it, and it's a good reminder of why we're there, to continue to grow in our faith. Yeah. There are some times it's not as peaceful as you think. I was gonna say, sometimes on the Borromeo side we can get rowdy, which is fun. It's fun. It's all very good.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You told me before this story about hanging out with priests, and then it was kind of like just a normal thing for you. And I don't know how recent that was, or how like early on in life that was.
Yeah.
I'm specifically referencing the story about going on a trip, and then he brought out like a little suitcase with a portable mass.
Yeah, that was a first for me. Yeah. So, I mean, growing up, just being kind of in the Catholic space, I got to know a lot of priests. I wouldn't say I was like hanging out with them, but I think it just gave me just more comfort when being around them. That they're not perfect. They're just guys who are on fire for their faith and have answered a call ultimately, like everyone else in their vocations. But it wasn't until I got older and I kind of had like a desire to like get to know some priests better. And it was Father David Stavars, who was assigned to St. Gabriel when I was there, obviously. So I got to know him. And he was just super good about just like, not in a like negative way at all, but he would reach out to me, shoot me a text, see how I was doing. So kind of from there, just like naturally as guys do, hey, let's go grab a beer, and just kind of just got to know each other through that. We both share a passion for snowboarding. So this past, we've gone on a couple just like day trip, or probably a couple just to like New York, to like Holiday Valley, just a short day trip. But this past year, he's like, I think I'm going out to Vermont. Do you want to come? I'm like, sign me up. So we went out. I took a couple days off of work. We went out for like 4 or 5 days to Vermont. It's just us two. Got an Airbnb. It was awesome. And we had a sweet routine of like the 3 days we were snowboarding. And it was basically wake up, pray, hit the slopes for pretty much the entire day. We'd come back and we'd just enter right into Mass, and it was so cool. yeah, I mean, it was kind of just like a small little table. He had a little mass kit with a tiny little chalice, and it was beautiful. It was just him and I. And it was just, yeah, it was very neat to see, like, yeah, I mean, one, what priests do. This is what they do. Like, if they're on a trip, this is what they do. If they have the resources, that's what they're going to do. But, and also it was funny. It was kind of exposing me with like responses to the mass. You can so easily just like kind of follow along with the crowd. It's like, oh, I actually have to know these responses. I know I like messed up 1 or 2 times, and I'm like, I've been going to mass since I can remember, and I don't. This is embarrassing. But no, it was awesome. It was so good just to spend a ton of time with him, and he's a big reason for where I am now, along with other priests as well. But super grateful to have a friend like him in my life who's living out that vocation specifically. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's so crazy. Just like pulls out this like portable mass kit.
Oh, it was so cool.
You're the only one that shows up to mass. You gotta like figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, it was intimate, like with the Lord, like in that. I'm just like,
I can imagine.
Just me and the Lord right now. Like, this is incredible. This is so good. And to not have like any distractions, just like to be able to really enter in is super cool. That's what the Lord wants, is like that intimacy with you, and that's what our hearts desire ultimately. Is that intimacy with him. So to have that moment was pretty cool. Each day after we were snowboarding for how many hours. So yeah.
Did you get better at the prayers by yourself as the days went on?
Ooh, so it was only like 3 or 4 times. I would hope so. I had my missal out, and in the middle of the missal, they have like the mass part. So I was like making sure. I'm like, where are we at? Where are we at? I'm embarrassed, I know, but it's it was a humbling experience.
No, that's okay. I don't think that's as bad as...
Are you thinking about the one time when we were at church, and I don't know which priest it was, but he started saying where the Nicene Creed was. He said like he started to say a completely different prayer, like that one that goes at the beginning of the mass.
They're just like,
but everybody's just saying it, and I'm like, this isn't right. And then he like stops mid prayer. He's like, my bad.
Yeah, it happens. It happens to the best of us.
And we all just kind of laugh, and we're like, oh, okay. We were just gonna keep going along with it.
Right.
Like, I wasn't gonna say anything.
Yeah.
Like, stop the mass. This is wrong. But
restart.
He did, and then we said it. And is that where you were getting at? Okay.
Talking about when I would go up to lector before I really had like when I'm supposed to go up to lector down. And I would just be freaking out. Like, I just don't really know when I'm supposed to get up there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not following along that well that it was just such a, like, it was exposing me. I was like, I don't know. I had to watch a bunch of live stream masses, and then I wrote down in my own language, like, this is when I go up, this is what they're kind of saying, and just like keep an eye out for it. But there was times where I would literally get up and start walking, and then I just walk back.
Not time yet.
It's not time yet.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it happens, but we can get in that lull, like with mass. It's like, I don't know when this actually happens in the mass. It's like, I should probably know that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of us. It's a lot of us.
There's the same thing with the creed too. We were just listening to the catechism in a year, and he was like going through like what each line means, and it's like, this is what we truly believe. Like you say it, you memorize it, but that's not, I don't want to say it's not good enough, but it's like there's more to it. Like, you're saying these things, you kind of want to like understand what you're saying every single week for the rest of your life. And it's just really, really beautiful.
It's exactly what we were saying earlier. It's just like, there's one thing to say it or like believe it, but another thing to like understand what you're saying and what you believe. It's a new depth to it. It's beautiful.
And I'm just like referencing other podcasts at this point, but Peter Shadow, I think his name's Mike. Is that it? Mike? He has this is a quote from him. He's like, do we really believe what we believe we believe? He's like, we don't. Which it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's like, do we believe what we believe we believe? And because it's a lot. yeah, I don't know. Just brought that up. You can talk if you will about that.
I want to talk about the Blessed Mother.
Yeah.
This was one of the things that you mentioned wanting to talk about, so I wanted to hear. I don't know. I don't want to say your take.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'd mentioned that probably. Well, I haven't had much of a relationship with the Blessed Mother, like growing up. We'd say rosaries and stuff, but it's like, yeah, okay, cool. It's a beautiful form of prayer, obviously. I shouldn't say whatever, but it was just, again, it was one of those things. It's like, I say it, cool, check it off the list. But I really didn't have any sort of a relationship with the Blessed Mother. I did a consecration. There's a consecration book, 33 Days to Morning Glory. It's a pretty popular one. I'm forgetting who wrote it. But it takes a bunch of excerpts from different saints, in particular, with like a devotion to the Blessed Mother, and it's like a 33-day, almost like a little mini retreat in a book. And I did it, and it did really nothing for me, but I wasn't putting a whole lot into it. So I was like, oh yeah, I've done that, cool. If it comes up in conversation, yeah, I did that. But in my heart, I'm just like, yeah, that did nothing for me. And it wasn't so really recently. Well, as you enter the seminary, there's a big emphasis on the Blessed Mother, and it's very important for priests to have a good relationship and a strong relationship with the Blessed Mother, with her being the Mother of God. Like there's a whole rabbit hole about, that's a pretty can be kind of a controversial topic with with Christians as a whole, or just religion as a whole, because Catholics have a pretty strong stance on that and have a unique stance on it, which is awesome. So I did a different consecration this past year. I started on Thanksgiving, and it was another 33 days, and then it was Christmas. I think I had to do 2 readings on one day, but to make it time up, so I did the consecration on Christmas. But it was I highly recommend this book. I'm already I want to do it again. But it's called The Fruit of Her Womb by Father Boniface Hicks. He's out of St. Vincent College in Liberatore, PA. He's awesome. I haven't met him. I hope to meet him one day. I pray I can meet him one day. But it gave me a new appreciation for the Blessed Mother, and like how we can go to her for like so much help. And it was a beautiful 33 days. Like, it really rocked my spiritual life. Honestly, just my life in general. And to be able to go to Jesus through Mary, it was like, it's incredible. And so now, like, in my prayer life, I want to bring her into my prayer every day at some point, because she's like there to help us, and ultimately to help us to get to Christ. It's like, this is like a controversial part. It's like, we're not worshiping her. But again, Christ gave the Blessed Mother to us. Like, on the cross, he gave her to us. And so he wants us to get to know her, and wants us to go to her, so we can then get to Christ. So it's been an incredible, I think it's only been a couple of months, but it's almost like this, like, I have a relationship with the Blessed Mother now. It's just like a beautiful thing. And with other saints, I think just in general, obviously there's the Blessed Mother, then we have all these other saints, these beautiful saints who are just beautiful witnesses. There's times, and I'm not sure if you guys have experienced this, but there's times where like things just keep popping up. Whether it's a saint,
we've noticed that recently.
Yeah, or like if it's like a passage in the Bible or something, just keeps, like, there's a theme or something that keeps popping up.
Gosh, you're like talking to us.
Yeah,
right now.
well, good,
it's crazy.
good. Yeah, and I that happens to me a lot, and praise God it does, because I need it. But that was one of the things. Like, the Blessed Mother has really just like entered into my life in beautiful ways, and has just given me this comfort and this peace that I just like, that a mother gives, right? Any good mother would give. So yeah, it's a very cool kind of newer thing for me. Yeah.
No, that makes a ton of sense. And yeah, are you referencing I'll just talk about it. I was at a prayer, like a prayer healing. It was, prayer healing, charismatic type of thing. And it was just me and then the two guys that were doing the like prayer healing part of it. And like I was there. It was basically like my session, if you want to call it that. Like, it was for me, and they were like praying over me. And I had like this vision or like just thought of the Holy Family. And then because the one guy, he had his hand on me and it was like a firm grip. So I was like, okay, yeah, like that's Saint Joseph, like of course. But then the other guy, which was like kind of shocking, it was so light. It was like Mary just like very just lightly just holding her hand there. And then we got into some different things and we're talking and praying, and then he's like, have you prayed the rosary? Like I'm getting this stuff about the rosary. I'm like, well, I mean, sure, call me out on it.
Yeah, what the heck?
But I've only prayed it like one time. And he's like, okay, like tell me about it. Like what happened? It's like, well, my brother, so Will, younger brother, he was playing baseball and he is sprinting. He's in the outfield. He's sprinting to go get this ball. And he is just focusing on the ball and he's running towards the fence. Dead sprint. And he's quick. So he's sprinting to go catch the ball. And so the fence is coming up quickly. And if he dives into the fence, like it has a little give. The problem was he dove into the pole.
Oh.
So he like, I don't know, like smashes his head on the pole, and then he's like, he tries to stand back up, and then completely he falls over. I wasn't there. My parents were there. My mom's like screaming and yelling, of course, because it's like, geez, like that's a big deal. And they run over to him and he's like not talking properly. He sounds like he just seriously got injured and now he can't even speak normally. Yeah. And so he gets rushed to the hospital, and they were somewhere far away. And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, you know what? For some reason, I'm gonna pray the rosary, like full rosary, not just like a little bit of it. I'm just gonna go through the whole thing right now. And I did. And then, so then the guy's like, okay, well, you prayed it. How's your brother? Like, now that I'm looking back, he literally just like got up out of the hospital. There's nothing wrong with him. Totally normal. He's just like, what are you guys all freaking out about? Like, and he just gets up and like basically leaves.
That's incredible.
And like, wow, that's crazy. So I didn't realize that until that prayer session. And then...
And that happened years ago, too. This wasn't, like, a recent thing that you're like, oh, I just didn't realize it. But it, like, the thing, like, the little breadcrumbs along the way kind of thing is what's happening. Continue.
And so he's perfectly good. And it happened years ago. And then recently, I saw these cool pocket rosaries. Not like a year ago. And I was like, okay, I'm going to ship him one. Like, I thought it was cool. Buy him one. It's a St. Michael one, and because like St. Michael's just super cool.
Oh yeah.
So got him that, and I shipped it to him. He's out in Arizona playing baseball now, and we went to go visit him, and he carries the thing around everywhere, which is actually, I'm like, what the? That's okay. Like I wasn't expecting you to be like holding it all the time.
Yeah.
And especially when he's driving, he is legitimate. He has it in one hand.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. It was like not that he fell away from his faith, but like a deepening, a deeper call, because now he's asking, he's like getting into reading the Bible, and he's been going to mass a lot more. And I just think it's like this crazy cool connection that the thing that Mary's looking out for him, and then also calling him deeper into the faith.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And you recently brought up that I proposed at the Servants of Mary.
Yeah. Have you ever been?
I have not.
Oh my gosh, it is amazing. You need to go. the largest statue of Our Lady of Guadalupe in the world, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes down the road. And then there's like a huge pond with like a rosary around it.
I think I have been there. Many
you
years
wouldn't
ago.
forget it. You wouldn't forget it.
Yeah, it was a rainy day, so we like ran up to it and ran back. It was like on a way coming back from a trip.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I worked there when I was little. Like, I was there literally all the time. I could walk there. And so, like, every single day I was there. But I never really had a relationship with Mary. And, like, it was just very normal for me to be around, like, this very holy place, but not really, like,
Sure.
have any, like, second thoughts about, like, oh, this is just, I'm so blessed to be able to, like, work here and be here every single day. People travel all the way around the world to come here, and I just awesome. Like am here every single day. And yeah, I took you there on our like third date, and then you proposed there, and that's where we had.
Yeah, I was like dropping you off, and you're like, "Hey, just swing down the road just a little bit more. I want to show you."
Oh yeah,
something.
it was kind of creepy. Like it was. We had. I don't know if we were at the drive-in or something. It was late when we got like. When he was driving me back home, and I was like, I kind of want to show you this, and it's on like a back road, like it looks really sketch, like there's nothing back there. And so I remember telling you, like, I promise, like, this is not weird, like this is legit. And we're like walking, and then you finally see like this huge statue, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is really cool. And we went all the way back there, and we like said a quick prayer, and what did you said something, or like you felt like just peace, or I can't remember.
Well, I was kneeling they have like little kneelers right below the statue.
Yeah. And this thing is like 3 stories. Like it's not like a, you know.
Gonna hurt your neck.
A little bit, but it's huge. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was praying, and then I was probably getting emotional, but we don't have to bring up that side.
Yeah, that's okay, man. That's okay.
So, but then I don't know. I saw like she was like looking at me. It was like come on, like closer. Like, have a little bit more. Not just now pray, but like pray to me more. Yeah. And so I guess I didn't really start. I was ignoring that, I guess. It's like there's these cool things happening and these like miracles and different callings, but then never really realizing it until that prayer session, which was like a week or 2 ago. And now starting to pray the rosary every day.
That's
like
incredible.
On the Hallow app, I follow along, and then it's like, nice job on day 5. It's like, let's go.
That's incredible. Yeah, she has a desire to be in your life, and all of our lives, and help lead us to Christ. That's an incredible witness, man. That's awesome. That's so good. Wow.
Yeah.
And then recently, actually, I'll tell you about that story after the podcast. That was a little too recent, and not my story to tell.
Sure.
What do you got?
I don't know. I'm like curious what this story is.
You know what the story is.
Okay, we'll talk later. Question for you. Do you have a favorite saint?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, it's funny. Before I entered the seminary, I really didn't know many saints. You know, the big ones, but like I didn't use them like in my faith life, my spiritual life. Ever since entering, that there have been saints that kind of like that, like type of stuff. It's just like they're popping up everywhere. But the first one was Saint Therese of Lisieux.
Isn't it the one we have up in the workout? What was it again?
Is it like a statue? There's a picture of her?
It's a
no. In our workout room, we have like
Saint Therese. Did you say Saint Therese?
Saint Therese. Well, she was French, so
the little flower.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we have her in there.
Yeah.
Cool.
She's incredible. Yeah. I'm not gonna be able to remember everything, but there were multiple times where like she would pop up. Either like we were in the catechism class and there's like a quote. I'm like, oh, where'd they take this from? It's like Saint Therese. Like she was just popping up everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I read one of her. So she has the biggest book is The Story of a Soul. I think it's her like journal. Don't quote me on that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an incredible book. I have it. I haven't read it yet. But I read. There's another book. It is Maurice and Therese. So it's letters that she and a seminarian wrote back and forth to each other. Really moving stuff. So I went through that very quickly. It was an incredible book. But kind of like what I was saying earlier, like in similar ways, like Saint Therese has ultimately led me closer to Christ. Like I'm not here to worship her. I'm not here to like praise her in any way, but she is like now like in a sense like a very close friend of mine. That I pray to and just like to help me, right, to get closer to him, and just like an incredible like beautiful witness. In that little way, the little flower, like she has just like had like such a humble, loving like heart that like she would just take the smallest thing of like washing dishes, for her sisters, like, and just do it like with that like big love, right? So yeah, she's the first one that comes to mind. There's been many others, but actually I'm pretty excited. Lord willing, if I've just got actually a confirmation email yesterday, I will be able to go to Lisieux this summer.
Oh my gosh.
And stay right like in the town, but we'll be able to visit the monastery and go where she was. So I'm very very excited about that. But yeah, she's a big deal in my life. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we're learning more about the saints, and we were just like scrolling on YouTube, and you come across like this huge rabbit hole of like all of these stories, and one that sticks out to me is Saint Maria Goretti, and just like how young she was, and like just her story is crazy. But yeah, like learning about the saints is a definitely growing like passion and fire that's like continuing to form my faith life, I guess.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. Do you guys have your saints? Do you have like a...
Yours would be like Saint Michael, right? You got him everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's just cool.
Yeah.
I just love, because there's so much cool imagery you can have with him.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
It's just like, man, that's what really like draws me into something is, I mean, I guess you don't really, until you start reading the Bible and like digging into the Bible, you don't realize how cool these stories are. And not only that, like every time in the movie, it's like, oh, based on a true story, or these events actually happen. I'm like, this is even better.
Right.
Like, this is crazy. So then the Bible being real is like, these stories are nuts. Like one of my favorite ones I saw on TikTok, and I had to check to make sure it was actually legit, but because it was like this
good for you.
Interesting edit of it, but it was just like this cool thing of
is it the prophets of Baal?
Of
Baal?
Baal.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Sure.
It's two A's, I think. And so
Baal, I think is how you spell it.
They're like worshiping this other god or other gods, and is it Isaiah? Who is, I don't know.
We gotta brush up on it.
It was a while ago, and they're worshiping these other gods, and he's like, okay, well, let's see, like, if your God is real, let him show me something, like, let it happen. And so they do these rituals and these things, and for days, and then he's like, where is he? Like, is he sleeping? Is he going to the bathroom, like taking a dump? Like, what is the guy doing?
Right.
And so it was Isaiah mocking the prophets. And then he's like, okay, let me pray to my God, and let me show you something from him. And he like builds an altar, and he puts different stuff, and I think like meat and different things, And then he's like, okay, all the prophets, come pour as much water as you can on top of all of them. And like, just keep pouring and pouring and pouring. And then to make sure like it can't catch on fire.
Right.
And he's like, he does his little thing, and then instantly it's all on fire.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
But like, it's just like this cool
Yeah.
TikTok edit with like AI images and
Okay.
what it looked like.
Yeah.
And like, that's sick. I
Yeah.
gotta see if that's real. And then I read the specific verses, and I'm like, yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's loads of those types of stories.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
that's
just got
incredible.
like an Instagram ad the other day. I showed you. It was like these graphic T-shirts, but the one was like Jonah and the Whales. It was like a band T-shirt kind of thing, and I was like, that is so sick. Like, that's so cool. And then they had one of the prophets of Baal and this like huge tower of fire. Like, it just looks so sick.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, you could wear something like that, and people will be like, that's a really cool T-shirt. Like,
Yeah.
what does that mean? And then you can explain it, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a great way to evangelize.
Mhm.
Great way. Yeah, I think there's also like this podcast is a great example of like just doing something cool like about the faith. Like, it's incredible. And there's like, yeah, there's so many like companies out there that are like, yeah, T-shirts or hoodies or stickers. It's like, yeah, we have a sweet faith. Like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
It's so
sometimes again,
beautiful. And
yeah.
I can't remember, this was like a recent post from Pints with Aquinas, but he had this comedian on, and he's like, if the thing about the Catholic faith is like, it's so crazy, like the most Gothic church in the world is like made, or maybe Gothic building in the world is a church made out of bones, like complete bones, and it's the Catholic church. Like, it's a Catholic church. And the just range of spectrum from like very, very simple and like simplistic to like all of these amazing, I don't even know how they're built, like these cathedrals.
It's great.
But it's just so beautiful, like the
Yeah.
stained glass windows, and I'm like slurring my words. I'm
Yeah.
fine, but stained glass windows, and like the music, and imagery and stories, and just everything.
Yeah.
Just-
So much
yeah.
beauty packed into it. It's incredible.
Mhm.
I love it.
Yeah, something that you remind me of when you're talking about the cathedrals was this one that took, I don't know, almost 1,000 years, I think, to build. And it's like, this church has been being built for longer than like one of the denominations
Yeah.
has been around or something.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the heck? But
Yeah.
anyway, no shade. All
Yeah.
shade. Are there any questions that we haven't asked you that we should be talking about?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing comes to mind. I feel like we've been able to cover a lot, which has been really good.
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Dang it.
There was a priest, Father David, was like, he switched it, and he was like asking us questions.
Oh,
and I
heck
was
yeah.
like, oh, I wasn't ready for this.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have one then for you guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I thought of it on the way here, actually. So one of the analogies I love, it's not really even an analogy, but one of the things I love, and it was kind of a realization a couple weeks into the seminary, of, I guess, yeah, the analogy of like entering the seminary. It's kind of like you're dating the church in a sense, like that it's, first of all, it's a two-way street. People don't understand that. It's, sure, am I discerning priesthood? Sure, but it's also the church that has to make sure it's a right fit.
Mhm.
You know, they're not just letting anyone come in here and
Yeah.
and do their thing. But so for me, I love that imagery, and it's
Mhm.
like it helps me to discern and to bring it into prayer and all of that. You guys just got married, but before, like more like dating,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
what was like, I'm not even sure how to phrase this question. Obviously faith is very, very important, but what were like maybe like two, three like top things, like priorities, that just like that helped like growth, like emphasis on the growth, if that makes sense. I hope that made sense.
Priorities within the relationship?
Yeah, like in the relationship, obviously it can be faithful, but for like a continual growth, because I feel like with this is what I'm getting at. I feel like at times with any relationship it can be very stagnant, and there can be no growth. Like I can think of people in my life where it's just like, okay, we see each other, but there's no, whether it's friendship or whatever it may be, there's no real growth there. Is there anything, and it doesn't have to be a list or anything, if there's one thing that comes to mind, that's fine. But is there anything that you guys think that's like that's like number one in like emphasis of growing together?
Intentional dating is like really, really important, to not just be like, well, I want to be in a relationship with like somebody, so I'm just gonna date just because. But having I had a list of like boxes you needed to check.
Sure.
I guess I could lift them off, but you checked all of them, so that's good. You need to be taller than me. You need to be older than me. I didn't want somebody that was younger than me. I thought that would be weird.
I wanted that too.
Yeah, he was like, I don't date older women, but you're mature.
I don't date younger women.
Oh, younger women. Sorry. I completely messed that up. But anyways, taller than me, older than me, like handsome, obviously. And then like beyond the like those typical things, somebody that has the same morals and values as me, somebody that like has ambitions and goals for like themselves, and somebody that is very strong in their faith already, or has faith as a priority and like just wants to grow and is going to be my accountability partner, because I don't want to be in a relationship and them like take me away from my faith. They should be leading me closer to God, because a lot of priests, they'll ask like for marriage prep, like what do they ask? I know what the answer is, but
what's the answer? Maybe I'll get the question.
Like to get each other into heaven. Like I can't remember what the question that they ask.
What's the purpose of marriage?
Yeah,
what's
what's the purpose of marriage?
Yeah.
And I don't know, people will be like, oh, to have a family, to be financially well off, to be happy, whatever. But he's like, no, wrong answer. Like to get each other into heaven. That's your one like purpose. That's your job.
Yeah.
And just to have that from the get, instead of like kind of working through that as you go along. That was something that I had in mind at the start of the relationship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, you have like the end goal in mind. So like it's so good, because like it seems like in other things that you had mentioned that may not be that specific end goal, it's directed towards it though.
Yeah.
Which is it's beautiful. I think that's awesome. That's great.
I also just think that solves a lot of problems too, because like you're envisioning this other person, either they're going to be your husband or wife, or they're going to be somebody else's, or they're going to give themselves to the church. So you should be treating them the way you would want your spouse to be treated. I'm kind of confused about your question, but
yeah, it makes sense up here, but like getting it out sometimes, actually many times, can be a struggle. But no, but I like that, and I think each things that you guys were saying, I think, at least for me, I can like draw analogies on a lot of those things about like, okay, how should I be approaching this? To be honest, a lot of the time most of the time I've been at the seminary, I haven't thought about priesthood, of like obviously, yes, that's important. This might be going against like the whole like end goal, but like very much right now, it's like, this is where I need to be. Like right now, this is where the Lord's calling me to be right now. And I think it's also healthy to look at it like that. So if it is, I guess, a relationship, it's like, yeah, is this the person I need to be with right now? Is this the person I'm called to be with?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, good. And then you start looking ahead and having that end goal in mind.
Yeah.
I think it's super healthy.
Definitely like a God's timing thing too,
Mm.
because we had met years prior, but it wasn't the right timing. And we've told each other this multiple times. Like, I'm so glad that you met me, or like we got together and started dating when we did, because, you know, it probably wouldn't have worked out if it was when we had first initially met.
Yeah, we needed that, like, the formation time
Mm-hmm.
to work on ourselves, to get each other to be who we needed each other to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. My big thing, I think, go ahead.
I'll joke like, what took you so long? It's so annoying. But yeah, it's God's timing. Continue.
My big thing was setting boundaries at the start.
Yeah.
Right off the rip.
Yeah.
And that's shout out to my coach. Said, like, you got to do this. And it wasn't a dating coach, but he
Sure.
it wasn't.
It wasn't.
I'm just kidding.
And he was like, you got to do it. Like, as a man, you need to be protecting her, and that the first person you need to protect her from is you. So you need to set the boundaries almost immediately. Like, it doesn't have to be first date type of thing.
Yeah.
But when you're starting to go a little bit more, it's like, okay, I want to set these so that we know we're on the same page.
Yeah, that
and
was
I even
like
had to tell you,
second, third date maybe.
That's
I
awesome.
had to
when we
tell
were
you,
talking
like,
about that.
just so we're clear on, because some people are like, yeah, I'm waiting for marriage, but like these things are okay. And it's like, I just need to, as in much detail as I can explain it to you, I need to let you know, like, this is where the boundaries are.
Yeah.
And
And I
then-
really appreciated that too, because it just was like, I'm so glad we're on the same page and we're getting that down early rather than like dragging each other along and being like, yeah, this isn't really what we wanted. You know?
Yeah, you have those things set, and then it's like, yeah, those like things that are very like necessary,
Mm-hmm.
and then again, now you can focus on each other in the good way, a fruitful way, to then grow with each other.
Yeah.
For the ultimate goal, right? So, which is that's so cool. Yeah, thank you.
Heck yeah.
And just having each other's best interest in mind is really important.
Yeah.
Which we're still like, we're not perfect, but
Sure.
being able to like remind ourselves of that is like, you come first before me, and like, yeah.
Or how to love each other in specific situations.
That's something recently, but yeah, just being able to also, like, just as a relationship thing, when we got married, and even before we got married, when we were engaged, just saying like, marriage is lifelong, like divorce is not an option. Like, we don't talk about it. Like, no matter what happens, like, we're together and we're gonna get through it. That was also another thing that we had discussed early on too. Yeah.
I don't have anything to say.
I don't
there.
know.
It's like, it
I
is
just want
what
you to
it is.
agree
Yeah.
with me.
Like, that's what it is.
Speaking truth.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I don't know, man. How is have you, and I apologize for not knowing, are you doing anything on top of the podcast? Because I know you have if you could let me know about I don't know if you want to do it now, because I remember you had reached out to me letting me know you had started the company or the nonprofit. Forgive me if I'm totally botching this.
The Stomp the Serpent.
Yeah.
That is kind of complicated.
Okay, that's fine. So, but through these things that you guys are doing, which is again is so good, because this is so foreign to me. How is that either helped or even maybe in some ways negatively impacted? I hope not negatively, but you never know. Impacted your faith.
Oh, doing the business stuff?
Yeah.
And podcast.
Yeah. I would say because we're like doing this every single day, and it's a Catholic thing, but it kind of just like, I don't know how to explain it. It takes away from your faith in a way, because you're so focused on like just getting the work done that you are like, you don't take time to pray, even though it's like, yes, we're doing all things that are religious based, and we're talking about all of these really, really good topics, and you know, we're putting out this content and everything that has to do with
Sure.
you know, the stuff, the business, but you kind of get distracted, and you like you don't have enough time in the day for like your faith life is what I'm struggling with right now, is like I need to prioritize that better.
Sure.
Hashtag priorities.
Yeah.
Come on.
You too.
I know. I have been waking up early and getting my time in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll touch on the positive. It's just been great to have conversations with people about the faith. Like, I feel that most, or like Protestants and non-denominational people are phenomenal at praying out loud. They're like, they grab stuff from scripture, they throw it all. It's like this giant, nice soup that they're making for you.
Yeah.
It's just happening. It's just all going.
Yeah.
They got the energy, they got the verses.
Yeah. Amen.
And they're really good at it. And it's not weird for them to do it, because it seems to happen very often.
Yeah.
But in the Catholic sphere, now at the seminary it's probably different, but in terms of like lay people, like doing this, praying out loud, talking about the faith, it doesn't seem to happen as much as it should outside of church.
Yeah.
And so it's just cool to be able to constantly be in conversation about the faith.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think
And it not be weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, to like scare people away.
Let's talk about Jesus.
Yeah.
But it's not weird like that.
Right. And I think it's been cool with like, whether it's at the seminary or going on retreats or conferences, you meet a lot of like, there's a lot of reasons to have hope. Well, first of all, I mean, Jesus resurrected. We already won. That doesn't like that. It's already over. But like in terms of just like the church itself, like I think people can get very down on like what the church looks like now and what it could look like. But then you look around and you see so many young people, whether it's in churches or again like retreats or conferences or whatever it may be. It gives me a lot of hope. But I think and we've talked about this with some of the guys. It's like I think it's up to us, like in a sense, to bring that and to make it normal. It's like go and just like, you want to pray, or like, hey, what can I pray for you for? Like things like that. And I think until we do that consistently ourselves, and it might be a little weird, it might feel very weird. I've done it a couple times where it's just like, whew, man, like I don't know about that. I don't think they really like me anymore, or whatever it may be. But to be able to kind of have that boldness in our faith of just like, yeah, I don't care. It's like I want to bring this is what's most important in my life.
Yeah.
And I know this could help you, so like let me bring this into our conversation or whatever. Yeah. We're very blessed, obviously, at the seminary, to be surrounded by it, but to be able to go to JCU or to go hang out with friends who maybe aren't as practicing Catholics as others are, whatever it may be, to be able to bring it up and to be able to talk about it. It's like, it's a beautiful thing. But yeah, I think it's like, yeah, it's kind of like, it's up to us. Like, yeah, let's go do it. Like we can, like I have no doubt in my mind. But just like to ask the Holy Spirit, it's like, just let us know when to talk. Like, just let us know when to talk. I think it'd be great.
Yeah. My thought is like, if you don't do it, who's going to? Like, and that might be the only, that might spark them to be like, oh, I should get back in my faith. Like, I didn't know that they were so into their faith. It wasn't weird, and like, I want to do something like that.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. Have you guys ever been to Damascus?
No, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah. So have you been? You haven't been, but you've heard about it.
Yeah. I'm like the social media person. Just like watching.
Oh, good. Yeah. Highly recommend. They do all sorts of things, but I was just down there in December. There was about 18 or 19 of us guys from the seminary that went to this, it's called the Empower Conference. It's like a young adult, like 3 or 4 day conference. I think there were like 400 or 500 people there.
Jeez.
It was incredible. You guys will love it. We also do like men's retreats and women's retreats. I've been on a men's retreat, which was so good. I'm sure if you gotta get their vibe then of what they do, but like they've also like inspired me in that way of just like there's so much of that there. And they're they speak a lot about like, yeah, this is a great place. You guys gotta go. You gotta get out of here. Like it's like this means nothing if we do this here and then go out and nothing changes. So that Damascus has really changed my life in many ways, and that being one of them, of just like, yeah, let's bring prayer into this conversation. Like it doesn't matter. Like come on, this is what it's about. But yeah, highly recommend. You guys gotta get there at some point. It's so good. It's so good. The people there are just on fire. There's no other way to put it. And their music is incredible too. Yeah, so good.
They say it at the end of Mass every single time. Go forth and preach the gospel.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Or, yeah, that's it.
Something like that,
There's
yeah.
different. Yeah, there's different. Yeah.
But, that was reminding me of the one banker when we set up our joint account. I was just like, I was in my heavily asking people questions phase, or era, as people like to call it.
It's good, man.
And, yeah, it's just this banker. I don't know how it even came up, but...
Yeah, we're just setting up our joint bank account in this.
At like a bank that we wouldn't normally have gone to. Like the branch, yes, but not that specific one. And just like, yeah. I started asking questions. Somehow it came up, and then I think it's because of the business. And then I'm like, okay, so, like, what do you believe? Like, what's going on? And he talked about it. He's some sort of denomination, and I was like, okay. So like he was talking about not really knowing. He studied some stuff. He like took a theology class in college as part of one of his things, and I'm just like, why aren't, like, you're old enough now to he was just basically saying that he just grew up with it and like kind of fell away, and he's just like not asking the right questions or not digging into it, and like that wasn't his responsibility as a kid, basically. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, like
it is now.
You're a big boy now. So like, why aren't you, like, you can be asking those questions and doing the research and digging into the faith. I want to check up on that guy, see if he did anything. But
yeah, follow up. Like, hey, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I just think it's interesting. And then also inviting people to Mass. Like, if they don't know that, like, say they don't have any family members, or like that's not like their normal thing, but then to just like extend the invite, because they would not tag along unless they knew that they could like go with you. And then they do say yes, and you're like, cool.
Yeah, I've praise be to God. Like there's been times I've reached out to people I might not expect would even say yes. It's like, all right, well, I'll throw out an invite. And they come, it's like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Like, this is sweet. Never would have thought. It's just like, well, yeah, like if you gotta ask, all right?
Exactly.
Nothing's gonna happen if you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I also think something that you had kind of mentioned with that encounter with the banker, I think there's, I forget who said this. My dad shared it with me. Where it was like, there's so much like indifference in this world. Like there's so much of meh, doesn't affect me, why do I care? Which just causes so many problems. And I think for our faith, there's so many things that might come up where the Catholic Church is looked at in one lens, in a worldly lens, as like this very, very negative church, right? And very like hateful church, which like we all know like it's not. But there's this indifference of like, okay, whatever, like go on with my day, instead of asking those questions and digging into it of like, why does the Catholic Church believe in this, or what, like, yeah, like to dig into what does the church believe in and why. I think that would help a lot of people, and I think the world, if there wasn't so much indifference of just like, whatever, doesn't affect me, carry on.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, yeah, things can get crazier and crazier. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it is either the faith is the most, hold on, let me say this right. The faith is either the absolute
You got it. You got
we
it.
got it.
All right.
The faith
Come
is
Holy
either
Spirit.
the faith is either the absolute most important thing in your life, or it does not matter at all.
Mm-hmm.
So you best be doing the research to make sure that whichever side you choose it is actually right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully
Yeah.
that's a TikTok edit somewhere. But no, like seriously, it is your eternal salvation.
Yeah.
So if people are not treating it like it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of reflecting and thinking about salvation and eternity, and it's like, I don't know. I start to care about people's salvation and their eternity, and so now it's like, I don't know. I just got like a calling to help get them there, or help spark something for them to get on that path.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like legitimately started caring, and I was like, jeez, now I got to do something about that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it wasn't until you start like thinking about like salvation or like death. It's like these are things people don't either want to or just straight up just don't think or talk about.
Yeah.
But when you do, it's like, whoa, there's something big here.
Yeah.
Let's figure this out before it's too late.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. This is so cool. I love it.
Of
Yeah. A
course.
lot of fun. A lot of fun. Very grateful. Yeah.